Hello, I'm Janet Garcia, and I'm here to talk about video game journalism and how I leverage Patreon and live streaming to grow my career and engage with my audience. So, for starters, what is video game journalism? Video game journalism is a combination of reporting news, conducting interviews, critiquing games, having discussions, and more. Traditionally, video game journalists are staff members at online publications, but in recent years, there's been an increase in journalists who remain independent and generate their own revenue, but more on that later. It's mostly similar to other journalism related to the arts, such as music, film, and entertainment. So if you're maybe having a hard time wrapping your head around, like, okay, well, what is video game journalism and how does it fit in with other niches in journalism? It's most related to anything in the humanities and anything in the arts. So a big part of it is, of course, the criticism and discussing news, while another part can be reporting, documenting industry trends, specific studios, whatever story you're passionate about telling to your audience. So just to give you some concrete examples, here are some things that I've done in video game journalism. So I've interviewed producer and developer Masuda and Omori, who are the people who work on Pokemon. I talked to them specifically about Pokemon Sword and Shield before it had come out. And this sort of helped me share details with the audience they wouldn't have otherwise known and ask some questions about the franchise as a whole. I went to events like E3, which is a huge video game expo that happens every summer, minus last year because of COVID, of course, and previewed video games there. I interviewed developers. I watched conferences. As a game journalist, I review video games. I also do a lot of podcasts. I have my weekly news roundup where I'm discussing the latest stories. I have podcasts where I'm just generally talking about the latest games that have come out and what we think of them. And in general, podcasting is one of the biggest ways that games media connects directly with their audience. And this is just to name a few examples, just to sort of give you a better idea of what game journalism is. So why does this field matter? Why should you be paying attention to it? Again, like music, film, and sports, video games are a niche worth digging into out of love for the medium. From immersive experiences that you can get lost in to stories about the human condition, social justice, games come in a slew of different genres and have different appeal points for different people. It's also at the point where there are, mainstream media that needs that expertise and sort of is paying attention. So here's me on News Nation, a national news and entertainment cable network that reaches 75 million television households across the United States, formerly known as WGN America, talking about Pokemon's 25th anniversary. So as you can see, even bigger outlets that do more political news are interested in these as social beats, as tech beats, and that's where video game journalism can really shine across the other industries. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what my life is like as an independent video game journalist and content creator. Specifically, I'm going to talk about how I use Patreon and live streaming to make money and create conversations that help me connect to my audience. Starting off with Patreon. Patreon is a membership platform where fans, aka patrons, can sign up to pay X amount of dollars to a creator. And this creator could be doing anything from crocheting or playing the guitar to photography, or in my case, video game journalism and content creation. So here's my page. It says Janet Garcia is creating video game live streams, videos, and podcasts. So right away, people know what kind of work they're paying for to support. And then we have the tiers that list the benefits you get. And these can be whatever you want. They could be a simple thank you, behind the scenes content, exclusive posts. You can set goals, and when you reach them, you can celebrate them with events, extra content, just whatever you decide makes sense for your community. For me, the first goal involved launching a merch store with designs I had commissioned and giving all patrons a lifetime discount. My later money goals will allow me to do more live streams, launch a new podcast, and as it gets really big, eventually contract other journalists to appear on that content or write for me the same way I'm writing for myself and my audience currently. And this is how you can take an individual and really turn them into a small media company in the modern era. It's how companies like Kinda Funny and MinMax exist, both of which have paid me to appear on their content as well. For those of you who are like, okay, but what is Kinda Funny? What is MinMax? Here's a quick rundown of those companies as well. Kinda Funny is all about fusing its love of gaming and nerd culture with steadfast forms of internet entertainment. This means making live streams, YouTube videos, and podcasts. While MinMax is about creating video game podcasts focused on games, trends, and getting better. It was also created by former Game Informer employees, which is really interesting because that is a current website and print magazine, which is really rare. It's all going digital now. So Game Informer definitely is a staple in the video game journalism community. And what's awesome about both of these is that they're Patreon funded companies, which means that their audience helps decide what the content is. Folks can vote on what games get played, have their questions answered, and more. Just overall, Patreon is just a fantastic way to connect with your audience directly. And you can use that money to help fuel your career, which is what I've been doing since launching in January. Which brings me to my next point. These days, there's so many ways to go live on virtually every social media platform. You can go live on Twitter. You can go live on Facebook, YouTube. If you have enough followers, you can go live on TikTok. Personally, I stream a lot on Twitch, which is a streaming platform that has a big focus on playing games. But it also has a lot of other categories, such as just chatting, live events, and reactions. For instance, I could put what I'm saying now on Twitch, label it just chatting, and that is a live stream. You may think live streaming doesn't fit what you do, but I guarantee you it does. There are places like NASA has a Twitch channel. Politicians like AOC have taken to live streaming to connect with an audience. So for the most part, it's just a great way to engage with everyone. And in my case, Twitch works perfectly because I can react to news live, whether it's like the latest stories, or I can play games live in front of an audience and give them my immediate impressions. So it helps me hone my skills as a critic while people can immediately get my feedback and my impressions. One of my favorite parts of streaming on Twitch has been getting to know my audience, developing inside jokes, and getting to respond to their opinions directly. In general, live streaming is great because it's immediate, it's intimate, and people absolutely love it. And overall, I just want to say that the internet and social media has given us so many tools for storytelling and audience connection that you're really doing your work a disservice if you're not using them, and you're getting less reach and retention as a result. People want to have these conversations, they want their questions answered, and they want experts like all of you that they can turn to for insights and explanations. So use these tools, use Patreon, use live streaming, use whatever you can to help stand out, sustain yourself, set yourself apart, and give your audience the content they really want. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. And if you want to know more about me, again, my name is García, and you can follow me on all social media, YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, under the handle Game Onysus. That's Game ONYSUS. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned a little bit more about game journalism and connecting with your audience.